Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at this time. If you will, please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll call on Dr. David Barber to lead us in the invocation, please.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much for this opportunity we had that we can come as a town and we can gather to discuss the business of the town. I pray, Lord, you help us now to be attentive to the things that are said. We pray, Lord, you help us make the right decisions that'll benefit all the town. Lord, I pray right now that you help us do it in a spirit of unity, that, Lord, we can say when we leave here today that it's good to live in the town of Smithfield. Again, we thank you, Lord, for all you do for us. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, gentlemen, you have the agenda in front of you. There are a couple of known changes to the agenda. One is the removal from the consent agenda, the item number 7, consideration and request for approval to allocate funds to the Downtown Smithfield Development Corporation for additional planters. That is being asked to be removed just totally for not discussion, no discussion tonight. Then we have a request to add to the consent agenda consideration and request for approval to adopt resolution number 738, accepting the NCDQ stormwater grant funding. That's item number 10. And then also add to the consent agenda a special event for the Ava Gardner Festival. The Ava Gardner Museum is requesting approval to hold an event movie at the Neuse River Amphitheater on October the 6th from 6:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. This request includes the use of amplified sound and food trucks. Staff is requesting that the Ava Gardner Festival be approved as an annual event. That is an addition under item 11 for the consent agenda. And then item number 12, special event, Triple S Homecoming Parade. Smithfield Selma High School is requesting to hold a homecoming parade on October the 6th from 4:30 until 5:30. The police department will work with Triple S to evaluate road closures on Kelly Drive and Derwood-Stevenson Parkway. And then also, we do need to add a closed session per section, is it section 3? Is that right? Is there A3? A3. Okay, section A3. We do need to add that closed session for section A3. Those are the only known changes I have. Are there any other additions or changes at this time, too?
Mr. Mayor, if we could, and it'll be brief, but could we move consent agenda 5 to make it business item number 4? Just a couple of questions, and I do see the chief mighty sharp tonight, so we'll get him up front just for a few questions while he's nice and dressed and sharp, but just a few questions.
Okay, so that's consent agenda item number 5, consideration and request for approval to restructure the police department to add a deputy chief and eliminate the vacant captain position. All right, and we want to add that to item number 4, business item number 4, okay? Okay, any other additions or changes to the agenda at this time? Okay, not seeing any. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion as second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we will move to our presentations, and our first presentation is proclamation declaring September the 17th through the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week in the town of Smithfield. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to
Yes.
come up for this presentation? All right, come on up. You can just. Front and center. How are you?
We're good.
Good. Thank you, ladies, for coming. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming this evening. And if you will bear with me, I'll read this proclamation. It's a proclamation for Constitution Week, September the 17th through the 23rd, 2023, in the town of Smithfield. Whereas September the 17th, 2023, marks the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Andy Moore, Mayor of the town of Smithfield, do hereby proclaim September the 17th through the 23rd, 2023, to be Constitution Week in the town of Smithfield. And I ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by diligently protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I will present that to you.
I appreciate
All
it. I'm
right.
going to give you two, since they're not really big this year.
Okay.
Two posters, and hope that you'll post them in Town Hall.
Absolutely.
And we're very appreciative of the proclamation. Excuse me, I had it sideways.
Okay.
Didn't realize that.
You want
Are we
to get a
sure?
picture? Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind, I would just request people who are here, just like to invite you and anyone else that you run into in the meantime, to come to the Johnson County Courthouse front steps on Sunday, September 17th at 3:45. Our DAR chapter, which is Daughters of the American Revolution, is going to hold a brief ceremony to commemorate the anniversary of the Constitution. Bring your bell, your pot lids, and a spoon, whatever you would like to make noise, because at 4 o'clock, all across the nation, DAR members and citizens will be making noise to remind the local citizenry of the establishment of the U.S. Constitution and the anniversary that we're celebrating. So that's Sunday, September 17th at 3:45, the front steps of the Johnson County Courthouse. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I got one for you.
All right, this time we'll move to our next presentation. It is the Appearance Commission's annual report. Ms. Tarley, how are you this evening?
Good.
Good.
Good evening to all of you. For those who don't know me, I'm Caitlin Tarley, and I'm chairperson of the Appearance Commission. You all have the reports in front of you, but I just want to review the projects that start by reviewing the projects we completed over this past year. So we finished implementing the boulders at the boat ramp. which was a $5,000 expense, as well as the completing the fencing out there, which was $3,800, and that was from last fiscal year. We also completed the plantings around the Smithfield wayfinding signs, which was around $528.75. I do have the estimate on that page as $500. The exact total is earlier, I believe it's on page 3 or 4, but that total is $528.75 for those projects. You will see that we had earmarked about $10,000 for the mural project. We actually ended up tabling that until a later date, or indefinitely, just due to inflation cost and conflicts surrounding timing and deadlines with the project. Instead, we decided to move on to projects that could be completed on a shorter timeline. Namely, we worked with Gary Johnson and the Parks and Rec team to install waste receptacles along the Greenway as well as the College Pond Trail. And we also had benches and shade structures installed along the College Pond Trail as well. Any remaining funds that we have encumbered from the past year, including this fiscal year, we're going to be pursuing other projects focusing on local collaborations. One example being we are hoping to work with local schools and the community college to go over to invent projects that really focus on student involvement in our community. Some other potential collaborations and project proposals are included in the report, though. And we also plan to continue the marketing potential of the 95 on 95 project. And that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for your support and time, and I'm open to any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Appearance Commission report?
Mr. Mayor, Sloan is a little upset that his name was omitted from this.
Thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you. guys.
Anything y'all need from us, don't hesitate. If y'all have big idea projects that you think you may not have budgets for, I think this board and everybody in this town wants to help the appearance of the town. So don't limit yourself. So any ideas, come see us.
We will remember that. Guys.
Thank you very much.
It's also got a big chamber.
That's right. All right, we'll now move on to our next item. There are no public hearings this evening, so we'll move on to citizens' comments. If there's anyone wishing to speak during citizens' comments, please come forward at this time. State your name and address for the record, and I'll ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, please.
How you doing? My name is Abel Barfield, Shannon, members of the town council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have here some pictures. If I like, can I show these around?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, those pictures that you're passing around, they are from flooding on North 4th and Caswell Street. This has been going on far too long, and there's nothing being done about it. Every time that I spoke with the Lawrence about this situation, you know, he's telling me one thing and doing another and doing nothing. It's an easy fix, is what it is. What it is, they put when Lenny Branch was in office, when he was superintendent, he put in a in-ground, he took out the big mouth drain and put in the in-ground. That was okay, that looked good. But what you did, you created a problem, because then when we get torrential rainfalls, it floods. I mean, when it floods, it floods. And those pictures right there, you can see that your water is deep over there. People have got to start, their cars are stalled out right there trying to come through. Matter of fact, my neighbor of mine, we was trying to clean out a drain, and the fire department come out and told us to get out. Because see, that water comes back flooding like that right there. It was like, this is my neighbor here, Chris. They told us to get out, and when we got out, you know, I understand that why they were saying that right here, because there's a sewer main right there, and that water mixed with that sewer main, it's nasty. Nobody wants to be in that type of situation, and I don't want water going in my apartment. I don't want water going in my car. My neighbor don't want it going in their house. So what I'm here for this evening, when can we get this right here done? I mean, because this has been going on several years. And every time I speak to Lawrence, it's like beating a dead horse. I don't want to, come down here and create anything, but I just want to know what can be done about this problem, because it's easy to fix. It is. You put in another, when we had two big mouth drains there, he got one in his corner, then there was one at First Missionary Baptist Church. There was two there. We didn't have that problem before. When you took out that big mouth open drain, that's when our problem started. We shouldn't have to sandbag our church to keep water from coming in, but we're doing that. And we shouldn't have to do, and I don't see a reason why we had to do that, when the town should go back and fix that problem. Like I say, it's an easy fix. If you're spending money for other things, why not spend some money, to take care of this problem here? And I asked him, I said, Chief, all you gotta do is just put in another big mouth drain, and that way we can fix this
I'd
problem.
like to say something.
If you don't, 1 second. I mean, are you finished, Mr. Barfield?
Yes,
As far as yours goes? Okay. Yes, sir. If you don't mind, if you'll state your name and address.
I'd say 301 North Fourth Street.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, there's a problem too, because on the other side, there's ditches. We don't have any storm drains on one side. So basically, you just got one side of water just patrolling towards to the river. So what we're asking, to fix, we need storm drains over. So that would solve the problem. But you just got one side of the street, just water just patrolling right in that area. So on the other side is just building. So we need to get something done, That's the main problem.
And I had to do a petition, and most of them church members, some of the church members had to sign this right here because they know what's going on with this right here.
Okay.
And like I say, again, we shouldn't have to sandbag our church, for this right here, when it's an easy fix. That's all, it's just easy fix. And if we can go ahead and take care of this right here, then I hate to wake up in the morning, after torrential rain and find water like they were in my place. Who's gonna fix that? Who's gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
I'm not. We
Yeah.
just want something to be done about it.
Sure, absolutely. Does the clerk have your contact information as far as being able to get a hold of you?
Okay.
Okay. Mike, can you have someone look in that and then get back to us on the engineer, look at it and give us an idea about that? And if you've got that petition, can you leave that as well with the clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'd be great. And then we'll have the manager, he'll have the engineer and staff take a look at that and get back with us on an idea, the cost of what it would be.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' comments? If you will, please come forward at this time. Oh, sorry, Ms. Lampy got ahead of you. No, that's okay. No, that's okay. No, it's fine. Okay.
Good evening, Elizabeth Ann Temple, 904 Chestnut Drive. Church and state, I wanted to talk a little bit about the archaeology of the foundations of democracy, and then I'm going to relate it back to Smithfield, and it won't even take 3 minutes, it's going to be short. This Jamestown, Virginia church is where the foundations of our nation's democratic experiment were laid, and here met the first General Assembly, the oldest continuous lawmaking body in the Western Hemisphere. English America's first General Assembly under the leadership of Governor George Yardley, who has been determined to most likely be interred there and who was following instructions from the Virginia Company of London to establish just laws for the happy guiding of the people. Along with his counselors and burgesses, he was adjudicating disputes between settlers, Indians, and cases involving Indian people who by archaeological evidence resided in the Jamestown area for thousands of years. A good idea, in my opinion, to look under the memorial church to the original by pulling up the flooring and to document that Governor Yardley is interred there, as he, quote, envisioned the colony at Jamestown as a Christian commonwealth, and he developed sweeping reforms to get rid of arbitrary rules and martial law. I would like to have the tools necessary to do archaeology around my hometown of Smithfield, North Carolina, to help preserve and protect artifacts of Native American Indians, notably the Tuscarora in this area of Smithfield and North Carolina. In South Smithfield, I found Native American rocks and arrowheads I donated to the town to beautify a public area here. At the Indian burial ground on Rosewood Drive, Smithfield, by the Neuse River, massive rocks still remain on a few properties. A funny story, my childhood friend Rebecca Britt, who was the adopted daughter of attorney Billy Britt and his wife, said it was sort of special to live on an Indian burial ground, and she had a lot of pride in it. And so I'm here to ask, could the town preserve this Indian burial ground with a historical marker nearby? Second question, would an archaeological dig ever be possible on town land, such as at the intersection of Rosewood and Crescent Drive, which is town land right down from the huge rocks? And Mayor Moore knows this because we all used to play back there on, it's an Indian burial ground, and it's a very special place, and the houses were built there. So I'd like to see something done. And again, this book is authored by David Gibbons, Mary Ann Hartley, Dr. James Horn, and Michael Lavin. And I brought a couple of arrowheads that I found just down in South Smithfield. Brought those with me. And then a pendant, and I thought this would be a good idea for like the 250th. So I'll give these to the town clerk. We could just add 250th on it. That'd be something that we could maybe sell. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Temple. All right. Anyone else? Ms. Lampe?
Good evening. I am Pam Lampe at 415 North 2nd Street. I want to address the social district issue that's on the town's business agenda tonight. I have a list of questions for the Downtown Development Corporation and the town. And I think, if I'm right, this is where I should address them, or should it be later?
Now, you can ask the questions now. I'm not sure that we'll be able to answer all of them right now.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, the first one is, what specific reasons do you think we need a social district? What defined goals do you expect to achieve? Can the town have multiple social districts? Would other areas also have one, like West Smithfield, East Smithfield? What additional legal liabilities are we incurring when we knowingly create a social district that allows open consumption of alcohol 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Do we have to get more insurance? If so, how much? Why do we want it 7 days a week? Winter, summer, spring, fall? Why the 10 to 10 p.m. versus 12 to 10 p.m.? If someone has a car accident after consuming alcohol from one of our permittees in the social district, are we liable? Will the social district require more policing to enforce hours, containers, stickers, etc.? If so, how much does this cost? What about additional trash? Will the non-participating businesses be happy with having to clean up and the cost of that? How much management time does this require from downtown development, hours and money, and the town hours and money? How easy, hard is it to expand, shrink, or dissolve the district, especially if it does not meet our defined goals? Then I had some boundary questions. Why not start small and have the district on South 3rd from Market to Johnson Street? The second thing is, I understand the district has been amended today, September 5th, 2023, to exclude North 2nd Street from Market to Bridge Street. Is this correct? I propose we also amend the district for North 3rd Street from Market Street to Bridge Street, since the library is located on this street with the kids and there are no restaurants. What is your reason for inclusion? Do we really want Ham and Yam Festival to be an open container event? It is a family event, question mark. How about family events at the amphitheater? Finally, what happens on Market Street sidewalks? It appears from the map there is a difference between the south side of Market and the north side of Market. It looks like open containers are allowed on one side of the street and not the other. I would appreciate written answers to my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lampe. We can share. Uh-oh.
Sorry. Maybe I should have gotten it. Emma Gimmel, 207 Hancock Street, Smithfield, North Carolina. My concerns, as I've always had, are maintaining and maintenance, follow-through, and following up on needs and concerns of the citizens and then the town. I am aware of at least since 2019, the town board, the planning, and the maintenance, generally speaking. The issues I have are the water promises and expansion. On the mound that's out there, I believe it's incorrect unless more have died since then. I'm going to say 3 to 4 dead trees on the mound because they have not been watered. There may be more, but I know there are at least 3. The old water plant, what was repaired, what maintenance was done, and what still needs to be repaired. And what I'd like is a list of what was done, what still needs to be done. We were told that when we asked, that we were on budget, so why not a new roof on the water plant that was existing? Look at the aerial photo of the water plant and you'll see. The comprehensive growth plan, that was either in 2019, 2020. Pam and I read several versions. It seemed to be a rush to get it passed. Did they have the downtown district and the pedestrian district plans and others untold things on the agenda that we didn't know about? We knew that Mr. Winsman wasn't interested in working with us to keep our hard line for our neighbors in the historic North Smithfield district from having encroachment. We worked with the neighbors to 7th Street, and they said there was no one listening to them, so there was no need to come. So I would like to also know, has the zoning changed from R10 from low density? Are the town officials looking after the citizens and the neighborhoods? The next thing is maintenance. Personnel is a challenge, I know. I have it in my backyard. Maintenance and maintaining our assets are critical for well-working vehicles, tools, pipes, sidewalks, curb and gutter. Improvement is essential in all areas. The vision we seem to be trying to achieve isn't a small-town feel, but one accommodating the big rental industry, creating a rental community and economy, not inviting individual homeowners. The next thing is social distancing. It is one that seems to be brought about by rosy pictured people with no issues. There's no issue that's going to be caused by this. I want to be the devil's advocate here. Issues we may need to address: clutter, dangers to others, liability to the businesses, town, cars, and so forth. Mental issues are on the rise with or without alcohol. Promoting excessive drinking, 10 to 10, 7 days a week. This isn't an ideal society. Prepare for fun and also prepare for the dangers of alcohol, cars, and traffic. I appreciate the efforts to improve our town, but are we on the same page, and are these positive improvements? And also, it's very important for us to maintain, and we have a difficult time doing that, whether it has to do with personnel or not being used to it. You know, in your own home,
You have to have a good foundation, and you have to keep things maintained, and if you don't, they disintegrate. So it's up to us as a community to make sure that y'all maintain our town for posterity. It's not just for us, it's for the people in the future that want to come here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Coon. Anyone else wishing to speak? Come forward at this time. Okay, not seeing anyone. We will then move to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on to our business items. Our first business item is consideration and request for approval to adopt ordinance number 518-2023, creating a social district in the downtown area. Who's going to take that? Sarah? Sarah? How are you, Sarah?
Mr. Mayor, council staff, pull up this presentation, which I will answer some of actually all of Ms. Lampy and Ms. Gimmel's questions. Okay, so my name is Sarah Edwards. I am the Executive Director of the Downtown Smithfield Development Corporation. And based on the vote of my Board of Directors, we'd like to make a request to establish a social district in downtown Smithfield. So what I will share with you all today, is a little bit about the legislation that created the social districts, the requirements for enabling a social district, and then the proposed downtown Smithfield social district. If at any point y'all have questions, feel free to stop me. So what is a social district? First, it is an area that's defined in which a person can purchase alcohol from a permitted business, permitted by the North Carolina ABC Commission, and they can carry that alcohol within that district. It can include both indoor and outdoor areas of businesses within or contiguous to the defined area of the social district during the days and hours set by the local government. So that's up to the council to determine. The social district can include privately or publicly owned property. It can include property that is permitted businesses, so again, bars, restaurants, and also non-permitted businesses, so businesses like our retail stores. It can also include multi-tenant establishments, which we have some of, and it can include public streets, crosswalks, parking areas, whether or not those areas are closed to vehicular traffic. This is the legislative authority that created the social districts. That legislation was first introduced in September 2021 as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then there was clarification in July of 2022 based on a number of communities that had either enacted social districts or had not at that point because of some questions that they had. So again, under the legislation, a city can adopt an ordinance to designate an area within the municipal limits as a social district. The local government can also eliminate that social district by ordinance after it's created. I will just bring to your attention, since the passage of the enabling legislation, more than 30 social districts have been created around the state in communities as small as Newton, North Carolina, and perhaps even smaller, and as large as Raleigh. Some communities, Raleigh included, they just expanded their social district in August, and they report positive impacts for economic development, reasonable and responsible action by participants, and increased foot traffic in their downtowns, which benefits the downtown businesses. And no municipality has eliminated a social district or, again, reported negative impacts. The social district requirements are very clear and spelled out in the legislation. The first of which includes signage that must be placed within the district that identifies the geographic area included within the district, and this is an example from Mooresville. So if you click on the QR code there, where it says alcoholic beverages in the social district must be consumed or disposed of before leaving the social district. For map and all guidelines, please scan. That QR code will actually take you to the map and the rules and everything. It includes the days and times during which alcohol can be consumed in the social district. It includes the phone numbers, for the ALE division, as well as local law enforcement, so the Smithfield Police Department would be. And it includes a statement that alcohol can only be consumed within the social district and then must be disposed of before leaving the social district. Additional requirements, social districts can only operate during the hours defined according to the general statutes. Those are from 7 a.m. until 2 a.m. Monday to Saturday, and from noon until 2 a.m. Sunday. Again, those are the state legislation. And if a local government like Smithfield has allowed alcohol sales prior to noon on Sunday, the social district can begin operating at that time, that earliest time being 10 a.m. So the local government, the town council, could establish the guidelines within the social district that allow the social district to be suspended during special events and that sort of thing when it maybe doesn't make sense. And maybe the Ham and Yam Festival is one of those examples, and that could be determined at a later date. The local government either has to establish or has the ability to designate an organization to create a management and maintenance plan for the social district, and you all have that in your packets. So it will have the boundaries of the district, the days and times of the district, and that management and maintenance plan also needs to be included on the local government's website. And obviously, social district must be maintained in a manner that protects the health and safety of the general public. That's going to be our number one concern. We want downtown to be a safe, vibrant place where people come, and social district needs to be keeping in with that. And again, the local government can delegate the management and maintenance of the social district to a private entity such as the Downtown Development Organization. What we're seeing in a lot of communities is that there is some shared responsibility and partnerships between the local government and downtown development organizations. Another requirement is that uniform signs be designed to tell people that alcohol can be consumed within a business. So for example, if the Gilded Pear is okay with people bringing, and that's not a great example because they serve alcohol, but if their neighbor, the Down to Earth, is okay with people coming in and bringing their drinks that they purchased from their next door neighbor, they would need to have a sign in the window. And unless a business has that sign in the window, people would not be able to bring their alcohol into the business. So that's, again, that non-permittee participating in the district would need that sign, and the DSTC would create those. A local government can, by ordinance, create a provision that would allow someone to bring an alcoholic beverage from one permitted business into another. So, for example, from the Gilded Pear into Soda Sopa. That's not what we're asking today. From doing some research around the state, that really presented some difficulties for the businesses, and that's not our goal to make things harder for them. So you all could do that, but we're not asking that. And again, and after you all approve the social district, if you choose to do so, then a application would be submitted to the North Carolina ABC Commission that includes the map and includes the days and hours during which the social district would operate. There's no formal approval process for the ABC Commission. It is more of a notification process. So who can sell alcohol in a social district? And it's a business that holds any of these types of permits. So an on-premises malt beverage permit or unfortified wine permit or fortified wine permit, mixed beverage permit, distillery permit, and wine shop permittee. Those are going to be all of your bars, your restaurants, things that we currently don't have, that hopefully we do soon: breweries, the potential for distilleries down the road, wine shops where wine's consumed on premises, and that sort of thing. It also gives the ability for special event holders of special event permits to sell alcohol to be consumed within that social district. So for example, currently during the Third Streeteries, we've brought in breweries to sell their alcohol, and they could continue to do so because they do have the appropriate special event permits. So that would work in coordination with the ordinance. And then if a local nonprofit wanted to come in and sell alcohol for a fundraiser, for example, which many communities do, they will actually sell the beer and wine themselves. That could still occur based on the current town regulations that are in section 17.17 of the town's code. Again, requirements for permittees to sell alcohol within the social district: they must be located within the social district, and they're only allowed to sell and serve alcoholic beverages on their licensed premises. So only within their property, their adjacent sidewalk, if that's something that they have a permit for. They could not set up a tent down the street. And alcoholic beverages sold must be consumed in cups. And speaking with Captain Grady, about a month ago now, he felt like cups rather than stickers was a better, more easily enforceable and less opportunity for sort of duplication and that sort of thing. He felt like that was a better way to do it, and many communities in North Carolina have. So the legislation spells out pretty clearly the requirements for the cups. They have to be, they have to clearly note where the alcohol was purchased from. They have to display a logo or mark from the district. So again, you can see here the downtown Mooresville's district logo. They're not made of glass. They are displaying the statement, drink responsibly, B21, in no less than 12-point font. And then the container cannot hold more than 16 ounces. So you can go smaller, but certainly cannot go larger than that. And again, requirements for non-permittees to participate: you have to opt in and display the sign if you would like to allow people to come into your business with their alcohol. You have to post signage on any exits to the building that do not open onto the social district. The alcohol cannot be taken past that point. And then during the days and times when the social district is active, you are required to allow law enforcement to come into your business, into the areas that are accessible by customer. And then you also, if you own a business and you would rather people not have alcohol, not bring their alcohol into your business, you can opt out. And we would certainly, if requested, make signs that tell people that they cannot bring that alcohol into those businesses. So requirements for customers: these are the same as they are now for the most part. So you can only possess and consume alcoholic beverages purchased from an ABC permittee located within the district. You cannot bring your own alcohol into the district. So that's not allowed. You can, if you have an open container and you have purchased a bottle of wine or a six-pack of beer to go from some of our businesses, you can do that. That alcohol that you have in that's to go cannot be opened within the district. The alcohol consumed within the district must again be in the cups, as previously described. Again, only within the days and times set by the city, and you can only take it into the businesses that have said they'll allow it. Additionally, the same sales restrictions as currently apply would continue to apply. So you can only buy 2 beers or 2 wines per person, or 1 mixed beverage per person. So I couldn't go into any business and get 10 cups for myself or my friends. I can get 2 at a time. And then again, you would be required to dispose of the alcoholic beverage before you leave the district. A social district it doesn't create a right for people to break laws. doesn't encourage people to be drunk in public or overconsume, it does not encourage underage drinking, it doesn't allow people to bring their own alcohol, doesn't create Bourbon Street in Smithfield, and the current alcohol regulations still apply. So it is a way for to promote economic development. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But it just continues the rules as they have been. So in Johnston County, there's a social district in Selma. There's one in Wilson County and Wilson. Wake County has 4 in Garner, Wendell, Raleigh, and Cary. In Raleigh, they just expanded their social district in August. They've had no issues, and we're comfortable doing so. And you can see here examples of their cups. Both of these are stickers where we would do printed cups. So creating a social district in downtown Smithfield, and here's the why. It's an economic development tool. It's one of many tools in our toolbox to promote a vibrant downtown and really just to encourage people to stay in our downtown for longer. One thing that you'll see, and actually I was in Elkin a few weeks ago, and they have a social district. And what it really gave the businesses, the restaurants and bars, the ability to do was say, hey, would you like a drink to go to carry with you as you walk through our downtown and go into stores? And so it really increased sales for them. And then it gave those retail stores additional foot traffic to create additional sales. Like it says there, the additional economic impact. And then, again, it's just another amenity to encourage folks to be in our downtown, to stay in our downtown, and explore our downtown. Here are some observations from around North Carolina. Again, towns of all sizes. So there are 3 new businesses in Norwood interested because of the social district. In Hickory, this person met with the police department patrol staff and have an officer stationed downtown. They haven't had any issues with security. All the feedback's been great. And then the last 2 are from Raleigh. Social district has increased sales and led to new sales that would not have otherwise occurred. That was part of the intention, was to help businesses that have been deeply affected over the last 3 years in downtown. The social district has accomplished that. There have been no known issues associated with noise, crime, or disturbances as a result of the social district. There's been no need for additional dedicated law enforcement to maintain the district. The recommendations of my board of directors are to establish the social district from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And Smithfield, we've waited intentionally in a lot of ways to learn from the experiences of other communities in adopting their social districts. And what the feedback from across the state has been is that keeping it consistent is very important, so you don't create confusion for people. The town did several years ago vote during the brunch bill expansion that happened to allow consumption or purchasing alcohol at 10 a.m. on Sundays, and we certainly don't expect that the streets are going to be, or the sidewalks will be full of people drinking at 10 a.m. on any day. But what this does give people the ability to do is to go and get a mimosa from one of our restaurants and then take it to the shops around the corner and have that drink while they're shopping. The boundaries are generally the downtown core, so Market Street between the Neuse River and 4th Streets, and then the 100 blocks of North and South 3rd Street and the Neuse River Amphitheater. Ms. Lampy is correct. The boundaries were amended today. That was a mistake on my part. I initially included the 100 block of North 2nd Street and did not mean to, or shouldn't have, I should say. And again, businesses within these boundaries have the ability to opt in or opt out to participate. These are the Downtown Smithfield Municipal Service District boundaries, the full boundaries of the downtown district. And then these are the proposed Downtown Smithfield Social District boundaries. So again, Market Street from the Neuse River to 4th Street, and then the Neuse River Amphitheater, and the 100 blocks of North and South 3rd Street. And I will point out again, this is sort of an extension in some ways of the 3rd Streetery events that the DSDC has been doing for several years now. During those events, we close the street to vehicular traffic, and we allow people to purchase alcohol from the businesses within that block, but also the alcohol vendors that come in, and people can carry their alcohol around the street. That event has happened with no issues for the past several years now, so it's this is something that we've done before, and we feel pretty comfortable continuing with it. When it comes to social district management, the DSDC will work with the downtown businesses and the town staff to implement the social district. Again, our goal is economic development, but also safety for everyone. We will design signage for the social district and purchase that signage. Excuse me. We'll also design signage for businesses selling alcohol within the social district, businesses who allow customers to bring their alcohol into their business, and then businesses who don't want alcohol to be brought into their businesses. We'll provide that appropriate signage to the businesses, facilitate the design of containers that meet the requirements, and then we will sell social district containers to entities with those special types of permits at special events. And that's something that we'll work with the town with to make sure that the appropriate permits are gotten, and to make sure we're setting everybody up for success. The DSDC will also maintain a social district page on our website that can be linked to the town's website. We'll work with town staff to respond to needs that arise from the social district. We'll work with the town staff and downtown businesses to evaluate the social district, the effectiveness, and address any issues and any changes that are needed. And we'll provide a report 6 months after the district creation regarding impacts as well as any identified issues. You all have a draft ordinance in your packets, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. And I will, as y'all are thinking of questions, just going down quickly the list of Ms. Lampe's concerns. Since the DSDC does have some experience in this space with events and alcohol sales and that sort of thing, if you will take a look at our 3rd Street area events, for example, when alcohol can be consumed in the street, I think anyone that comes downtown the next morning and even by midnight that night will find that downtown's left just as clean as it was when it started. The DSDC's hired some actually public works staff to come in after hours. We're paying them ourselves and disposing of the trash and all these kinds of things. To speak a little bit about the liability, the businesses are ultimately responsible for the people that they're serving to. And the businesses have training and have a responsibility to make sure that they're not over-serving people, to make sure that they're meeting the requirements of the law. And ultimately, if the businesses are not doing that, it's their ABC permits that could be pulled. So it's really in their best interest to make sure that they're upholding their end of the laws. And if you all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. My board chair, Troy Brindle, who owns the Gilded Pear, who's one of the owners of the Gilded Pear, is also here if y'all have any questions for him.
Yeah, I have one question just to start with. If I go to the Gilded Pear and buy a beverage, and I leave and go to another restaurant that has the alcohol sales, I cannot enter the other restaurant as it is proposed now?
As we're proposing, yes.
Okay, but I can go in any other facility that does not have it posted as not welcome, correct?
You would need to go into a facility that has the sign that it's okay.
It says it's okay, not that it's not. Okay. All right. And I know that you just said the liability falls back on the person that's serving it because they will be labeled on their cups where it came from. With the district that covers several parking lot areas, I'm sure there will be some abuse of this. So what if somebody puts their own beverage in a cup and it's from the Gilded Pear and something were to happen? What's there to protect him from any liability?
Sure. I think that's probably a question best to ask for our police staff, but from what I understand based in other communities, there's an investigation that's required for any type of issues like that, to determine where the alcohol came from and that sort of thing. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
What if you have a group of 6 riding in a van? All of them bought from the Gilded Pear. 6 cups in. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, I understand you say it's an investigation, but it's hard for me to sit here and not hold that person accountable if all 6 of the cups from the van's got his sticker on it. Does that make sense? I mean, and that may be a stupid question, and that may be something for the police, but it's hard for me to imagine Is that where, they're gonna have like, each restaurant's gonna have their own sticker?
So there would be a cup, just like the cups that you all have, that on one side will say Downtown Smithfield Social District, be responsible, or B21, drink responsibly.
And then,
And on the other side, it would have the business's logo printed.
that's my point exactly. And to Councilman Dunn's point, they can be out there in the parking lot getting liquored up. They could have bought one drink from him and said, oh, I ain't paying for this. I can get it cheaper. I'm just saying, that's hypothetical, but it could really happen. It's true. So,
That can happen now, too, though.
yeah, well, it can happen, yeah, it happens. I'm sure it happens more often, and the police agencies probably can say that. I'm sure it happens more. But you're putting that business at risk. You're putting that person's livelihood at risk because that person's didn't even purchase it, all of it from there. But everybody's alcohol consumption level is different. I don't drink, so if I drank a beer, I'd probably get drunk. I mean, I'm just being honest with
Yeah.
you. A person that does drink could probably consume 6 or 8 and be fine. But who's going to monitor the map? You said on page 5. How are we going to, so if I walk into a business that does not want to have this business or does not want to serve alcohol, I go in, I've got my cup, I want to shop there, and that owner says, you're not allowed to be in here. What's going to happen then? Is he going to call 911, or will there be an officer out there? And who's paying for the officer? Is Downtown Development, or is the town of Smithfield?
So the proposal does not include a dedicated officer to service the social district. And I think in all the cases, it's been found that that's not necessary.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry?
Are you kidding me?
No, so.
You don't think we need an officer monitoring this?
No, not that we don't need an officer monitoring it, but not that we need someone dedicated between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. every day monitoring it. That's their sole job. So
I disagree. I think if you're selling alcohol, either you condense your hours or you provide security or police, whatever you want to, while people's out there. Because I'm telling you, if a person get lit up by 12, they start drinking at 10, and he goes into business, and I own the business, and I tell him to leave, and he starts showing his butt, how am I going to get that person out of here? Call 911. By the time they get there, possibly, he could have torn up a quarter of my store.
and
That's your, and that's the business in your downtown development.
Right, absolutely. And so the businesses would call the police, just as they would call the police today. I mean, there are crazy things that have happened in downtown businesses that the businesses have had to call the police for. So that process wouldn't be any different than it is today. The initial issue may be.
Well, I will not vote for this if we don't have an officer there. I want to see it pass, and I think we need a social district, and I'm not trying to be ugly, but either you modify your hours to make it an adult night out, okay? Kind of like the Third Street, there is an adult, I mean, it can be family fun, but there's probably more adults that visit there than, well, I'm just telling you, I mean, I don't walk my grandson out there and see somebody slobbering drunk, and I don't think I would do that. But from 10 to 10, and you have no security, I don't know if the citizens are going to really feel comfortable with that. And I want it to pass, I really do.
Well, I mean, we have normal patrols that cover this area all the time, so, I mean, if there's a call, it's
But
just
what
like
I'm saying
any
is
other
you're asking-
disturbance
So
call.
you're asking us, we can't even get enough people to patrol the area we got now, and you're having another event blocking streets off and take them away from areas.
This doesn't block the streets, this is just, you can legally walk down.
It's getting a little bit,
The,
I just don't agree with not having, I think you should have an officer out there, or you have condensed hours where you're serving alcohol. That's my opinion.
Don't we,
And that's just my opinion, and there's plenty of people up here with opinions. But you gotta be joking if you don't think you need somebody out there all the time, if you're serving alcohol, in my opinion.
well,
So I hear your concern, Councilman Wood, but I guess I would say we don't have someone in every restaurant downtown right now.
No,
We don't have a
don't,
police
but-
officer sitting at the bar in every restaurant downtown that's monitoring the
But you're opening
situation,
up
that's
the
selling
entire town
alcohol.
at that time, like downtown businesses, right? I mean, you can speak, and if I'm wrong, let me know. I mean, I'll be glad to admit I'm wrong.
Troy Brindle, current chair of Downtown Development. Also, I was in this situation years ago, opened a brewery in Mount Olive, North Carolina. We were the first brewery, first liquor license, first wine license. And it's not because we're opening a social district that we are saying everyone's going to come out and all of a sudden start drinking from 10 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. It just makes the consistent hours. I don't think anything's going to change that you will see during the day or during even the evenings. It's not like an open book saying, hey, let's go grab a beer and let's all run downtown. So as a business owner, ultimately, we're responsible, we're held liable if something happens. And I agree, I mean, someone could buy a cup, they could go in the parking lot and drink 12 beers, then what happens? We take that risk. If we don't want to serve it, then that's our choice. It's not the town's.
Okay.
The hours of starting at 10 in the morning, I'm assuming that's, as you just indicated, you want a consistent time frame.
Consistent
And
time.
then with the passage of the brunch bill, that kind of set the morning event there. Councilman Wood touched on either limited hours or limited days, et cetera. From the other areas that have this, do they have a 7-day-a-week wide open? Or is it like Wednesday through Sunday or Wednesday through Saturday? or-
Most of them are 7 days a week. There are a handful that are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but they've really said, hey, if you come on to our town on Wednesday, that just creates confusion for people. So they've said that 7 days a week tends to just be easiest all the way around in terms of enforcement, education, and just that level of consistency. You know, take this week, for example, is a good example. How many of y'all today have walked around, hey, it's Monday? Well, no, it's Tuesday because we had a holiday. So it just kind of keeps things even keeled. But most of them are 7 days a week from what I've gathered.
And the goal of this, I'm assuming, is just to spur more walking around. Okay.
Now, maybe I need to return to my question. I'm not asking for, I'm more speaking of particular events that you're having. Okay? I understand 7 days a week, you don't have someone in a restaurant. I get that, or a bar or whatnot. But if you're closing down that area, Ham Yam, Third Street, or for whatever, and you even said a fundraiser, which I don't know if there'll be a fundraiser having alcohol.
That makes sense.
There might be. I don't
An
know.
office for then.
But I'm saying when you make it a big event, you're gonna have to have security.
That I would agree.
That's what I was trying to.
And they do.
That I would agree
That's
with.
what I was going to. I'm not saying 7 days a week. If somebody wants to go buy a beer at lunch, I can't, I'm not necessarily saying that. I don't agree with that, but I'm not saying that we have to have that. But when you have a special event,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I was asking. If you don't have police there, I mean, round the clock during those hours, then you're leaving yourself open.
Yeah, and that's something for our clients.
That's what I was trying to refer a while ago. So I apologize for misconstruing or
That's fine.
misunderstanding my
We have security now.
question. I should have been more specific, but that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, for all of the
Makes sense.
events that we currently have that have alcohol, so this is Third Streeteries, the Red, White, and Blues, the Food Truck Rodeo before the Independence Celebration, the Wine Walk. I think those are the only three. We hire off-duty police officers for those events.
Okay.
And, yeah.
That's what I was saying. I
Outside
understand,
of
I understand businesses serve alcohol during their business. I get that. And maybe I was just wrong in saying what I said, and I probably stated it wrong, but you're gonna have to have some type of security of some sort.
Sure.
If you're closing or having a special event or whatever. Now, I don't really like the idea of having it at the Ham Yam. Maybe in the evening with a concert, because that is kind of promoting family. I mean, in my opinion.
I think if we did something at Ham and Ian, it would probably be a beer garden of sort where you have to stay within a cordoned off area.
That would be fine.
And I'm maybe talking a little bit out of turn there, but
Yeah.
I think that is, if we decided to dip our toes into that water, that's how we would do it in a manner
Well,
like that.
I was wrong in what I said, so I'm man enough to admit it, but I'm saying special events, you're gonna have to have that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and I apologize for not clarifying it before. I was getting fired up. Sloan.
How long has Selma had their district in it? Have they had any problems?
I believe they've had a district now for about a year. I'm not aware of any issues that they've had.
Are they the same hours that we have, or?
I don't recall right offhand. I've looked into so many different districts and so many different rules, it's hard to keep them all straight.
How many businesses currently sell alcohol downtown?
Within this area, you were looking at Soda Sopa. Under the Oak is no longer operating as a restaurant. I'm not sure if they still have their ABC permit. They do some special dinner sometimes. So those two have the Gilded Pear, potentially Sammy's, Tandoori Trail. Evan Schuler's does, but they don't offer consumption currently. So theirs is just sealed to go.
Yeah, sealed to go.
And then the Little Brown Jug. So 6 currently within that district.
How many businesses do we have downtown?
Within that area, or in the whole downtown district, about 180 businesses. And so there are some other businesses not within this area that do serve alcohol, but at this point.
I'm talking about downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, they're within the downtown district, they're just not within the
Oh,
social
okay.
district.
Okay.
But at this point, the idea was to start small, and if it's successful, we can talk about expansion down the road.
Okay.
I have something to interject. We hear all positives, and we didn't really hear any negatives. So there is research done by the UNC Injury Prevention Research Center on social districts. And it actually says, this article was published in March of this year. And it says here that over time, these alcoholic social districts may also indirectly impact other alcohol environmental dynamics, including increasing outlet density, expanding hours of sale, more alcohol promotions, and increasing exposure of youth and adult to advertising and cultural normalization of alcohol use. And then it says, why should we care? Changes to alcohol policies have real measurable public health policies. Similarly, small changes can impact the others, and it goes down and gives you a list of what we do know and do not know. Center for Disease Control and Prevention Community Guide says, 1, that this could increase alcohol outlets density negatively impacts health. Increased hours of sales, such as adding happy hours, negatively impacts health, includes independent efforts to expand happy hours and any downstream impact to promote alcohol sales by expanding hours in social districts. Price discounts and promotions negatively impact health. These make it easier to purchase larger quantities of alcohol at the same time. Youth are sensitive to alcohol advertising, normalizing exposure. Proximity of social districts to schools and teen social areas are negatively impact the youth drinking behavior. Increasing excessive alcohol consumption has a high social cost. While proponents of social alcohol districts may claim it will increase local business or tax revenue, that is yet to be shown. However, it is known that alcohol-related harm costs local NC communities over $10 billion each year. People in recovery can be particularly sensitive to increased promotions and normalization of drinking. Alcohol-related harm and policies often disproportionately impact Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. So the thing is, it's not all rosy. My point being is, we only heard positives, but we have to consider the negatives. I'm not saying that the negatives override the positives. The point is, there are negative impacts when you make this decision. So we can't just look at all the things that we want to increase, because they talk about it. We'll increase business sales, probably so. Increase traffic to the community, probably so. We may bring in younger life to the town because more social drinking. I understand that. They're all positive things, right? The problem is there's also negative things. So we have to take into consideration the negative impacts too, not just the positive. It is going to make drinking more normalized. So therefore, more young people may be exposed to drinking at a younger age because their families may not have anything to do with drinking at all. And they come into downtown Smithfield going to the store to buy whatever, or going to the farmer's market. And now they got people walking around drinking all over the place. So they're not used to that. It exposes people to those things. I'm just saying there are negative. We have to take into consideration both sides when we look at it. And I just want to make sure that I brought that up because I think that we really didn't talk about the negative impacts that doing this can also happen. Now, I did also note that we did have, We did have, my mind got lost on the track there. But I lost my thought, it'll come back to me. Short train, but I just want to make sure that we include the negatives along with the positives. So when we make a decision, it's not all sunshine and roses, right? It's going to be a negative impact on people too. So you have to evaluate, does the good outweigh the bad? Because it's not a no-cost situation. It's going to cost somebody something. Some businesses may cost their business if we don't do it because they can't keep going. Understand. But it may cost some young people their lives because now they get exposed to this and they don't know how to handle it. Many people can handle it no trouble. Many people handle it no trouble. You know, being a grandson of an alcoholic, he couldn't handle it. And his life was ruined. So, I mean, I know what it also impacts, it does too. So I'm just saying there's positives along with negatives, and we have to take into consideration when we vote on things. So I just make sure I got that in the record.
Mr. Mayor, I just, if I could, appreciate those comments, Mr. Barber. Also, just when we looked at the, I guess some of the towns in Johnston County, I would have thought Clayton would have probably had it because their downtown is definitely vibrant. I mean, it does well. So my thing is, you know, why do we have to have alcohol to increase? You know, why does there have to be alcohol when I would have thought Clayton was one of them towns anyway? And you know, I kind of go back to another one of Dr. Barber's points. I mean, having it all day. I mean, why not? Just could we do happy hour hours? I mean, it's already congested enough right here on Market Street, and then you know, during this regular school days, you got buses, you got traffic coming from everywhere, and yeah, this I think can cause a whole lot of issues. Go back to the point that Councilman Wood made. I mean, with all the do's and don'ts, I mean, who are going to police the don'ts? I mean, things that we're not supposed to be doing. I mean, I could be almost drunk before I get up there and end up getting a cup because, yeah, we want to make money, we want to increase sales, and, you know, but the police, they're not going to know where I got all my drinks from, and it's easy to take a Sprite bottle and put vodka in it and walk up and down the town and just pour it in. So, I mean, my thing is, who's going to police all this when there's no one not really there? I mean.
And to that point, in part, that comes to the business owner. So
Right.
if you've already been drinking when you come into their store and they choose to serve you when they shouldn't, that ultimately can impact their ABC permit. So that's something that's going to come back to them. Clayton is somewhere in the process of working toward the adoption of a social district. That's according to at least some news articles in Johnstonian News. They're pursuing it. I don't know with how much vigor or not that's happening. I think in a lot of communities, they've really wanted to sit back and make sure that it was something that was going to be successful and really was going to work out with no issues before they moved into it. And I think the fact that you have communities as large as Raleigh and Greenville and Winston-Salem and Greensboro doing this and doing it successfully in expanding districts and that sort of thing, I think it's given a lot of communities both good examples to replicate, but also potentially places to learn lessons from, and some experience to know that it can work and it can work well.
Let me ask you, what determines the success? How do we know if it's successful? I mean, how's it successful? Based on what?
So I think there will be a number of metrics. Safety will be a piece of it, and if there are significant issues, then it's something that we definitely need to look at, whether how to curtail the issues or how to deal with them in a different way. So that would be a piece. Evaluating economic impact, so sales for businesses and trends and that sort of thing would be important to look at and see how that's going. And then also kind of a less scientific look at pedestrian traffic downtown. So if that's something that we see more of, then that may be something that we can partially at least attribute to the social district. So I think it's going to be a number of different things. It's going to require working with our partners in the police department and in public works. You know, if we come in on Monday, I don't anticipate that this will happen, but if we come in Monday and the trash cans are full of cups, then It may need to be that we look at doing something a little bit different when it comes to trash and that kind of thing. But those are problems that we can certainly work through if and when they present themselves.
So, and the last point, I mean, I'm not ragging on you, but more foot traffic, does that equate to more sales, or does it just mean more people kind of hanging out around town, which can then cause more issues and then cause, just traffic means what?
I think more foot traffic generally in the downtown is going to relate positively to more sales. I think overall that's what you're going to see. And the DSDC is working on some additional efforts to make downtown Smithfield a more visually appealing place where people want to spend their time. And we have some great programs that encourage that as well. They're encouraging more retail and restaurant businesses through some of the events that we're doing and some of the things that have, I think, more and more of Smithfield becoming more of a place where people want to spend their time.
Thank you.
Two things. First thing, you said, would the downtown development be submitting an application for an ABC permit? Would you
It'll
have?
actually be the town that does that.
So, okay.
The municipality is required to submit that to the ABC.
Okay.
It's not a permit.
And the hours of operation, 10 to 10, well, I would like to see it move to 12 to 10. Now, if you want to do something different, if you had a special event coming in for, the red, the brew truck thing you were saying, I get that. You can we can alter those hours, at our discretion with that. But I mean, if you're serving lunch, you just come in at 10, really. I mean, I'd like to see it 12 to 10, if we're going to do it. And at special events, like I told you, we've got to make sure that you're paying for the security and it's appropriately given. Not just if you need 1, 2, 3, whatever, you're going to have to make sure it's done properly.
Just to clarify.
And monitored like it should be. Now, will they get wristbands, or are you just checking them by the store that sells it, or how is it done at special events? Now, I know during the day at lunch, obviously you would card, but at special events, how would you do that? Because you're obviously going to be busier.
You can do wristbands.
You're obviously going to be busier, so would you go to a station, you'd say, let me check your ID, you get a green band or whatever?
It would depend on the event. I think if the event size dictated having someone check wristbands. Or,
I would have a
for
designated
that,
area
you
for
would-
that.
Yeah, for that, you would have to have a wristband to come into the beer garden area. But for other events where the sellers can easily, as people come up, check IDs.
Sure.
you know,
Depends on the capacity of the event, is that what you're telling? But you're not opposed to providing a special area to get a wristband, so it'd be,
Yes.
how much liability is there to the town?
That's the
We're
thing.
applying for the ABC
To
permit.
clarify that there's no permit the town has to apply for. It's just the town's applying for the social district. The restaurants, the other establishments have the permit, they have the permit. They're the ones who are liable, not the town.
And it's more of a notification than actually requesting permission.
Right.
It's just saying this has been established, these are the hours, and these are the boundaries, essentially.
Well, like I said, that's my only request. We move the time to 12 to 10 unless a different event calls for something specific. Security or patrol, whatever you want at all special events. It needs to be enough to subside with the crowd, capacity of the event.
And let me ask a clarifying question for that. So special events, the Christmas tree lighting, for example, that's, I'm imagining, and maybe assuming that that's not
Yes,
something.
you would, if you're gonna be selling alcohol at that special event, I would say you need to have a police officer there. Now,
They're all
that would
there.
be-
They will be.
They're all there.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just saying, you would, but, well, just making sure that, I don't wanna put, what I'm saying is, I don't wanna put so much
Extra
on
work.
the agency that's already in trying to find people to work. We're already short-staffed as it is, and those guys and gals are doing a wonderful job, keeping the crime rate down and working their tails off. I hope to see that get better, but in the police, law enforcement, I don't know if it's gonna get better. I mean, I think that's a common trend, if I'm correct, that you see shortages amongst police agencies. I just want you to make sure you have someone there, okay, that can monitor those events. So that's all I ask. And I mean, I can't control what you sell during lunch hours. I don't care about that. If you want to drink, you drink. It's your choice. But it's your responsibility to make sure you don't drink too much.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
How many businesses do you have open on Sunday?
Right now, I think there are, quick tally, 5 open on Sundays. There are some that are willing to be open on Sundays if the traffic supports it.
And that's why we need to do things like this to increase traffic.
We're actually debating about opening on Sundays, because we're closed right now.
This is a small step. We won't see any change of this overnight. What it will do is help market us to get more people. Number one question here around town is, and the number one I have is, we don't have anywhere to eat unless you want to go to a chain. And Smithfield has a bad history of not supporting its restaurants, and they don't stay. So I think we need to do everything we can do to make it easier for them. They can sell alcohol between hours before noon on Sundays. I get y'all's concerns. I share them with other sides, but we need to help these guys get more foot traffic here and then show that we encourage, and we can encourage restaurants to come, because the number one downside of Smithfield on just the social side of it is, there's nowhere to eat. And this is just a little small step in the direction to keep that traffic going to, hey, we're going to get some news out of it. Hopefully a restaurant here in Raleigh sees this. Oh, let me look into Smithfield. That's what I think will come of this. Will there be drunk people running down the street? I don't think so, no more than we have now. But
Well, again, my first
Not trying to make
comment was special events driven.
right. But this is different than special
Understand
events.
I
And
don't know, I'd like to see it move 12 to 10 personally. I know we agreed to 10 to 10 on Sundays. Again, it's your choice to drink alcohol or not, as long as you, but I do agree with Sloan, with Councilman Stevens. We do want to bring more foot traffic to help downtown, absolutely. And I think it will, but now, this will help some, I think. Is it going to be the cure of all
No.
deal? Absolutely not.
No.
You're going to have to be competitive, offer things what people want, be creative in what you offer and how you offer it. And to Councilman Barber's point, and this isn't, there's a lot of folks who disagree with it, but we're selling it now, so it's not like it's a big deal. I mean, we're still selling. I just want you to monitor it when you have special events, like I said 100 times, because that's my only worry. And if I choose to go to those events or I choose not to, that's my choice.
Right.
Okay? And I choose to, I go to restaurants that sell alcohol all the time, so it's my choice not to drink. And I'm not saying it's bad to drink or not to drink. That's just my choice. So if we can help you, that's fine, but we can't depend on the police agency to do everything and all the monitoring for you and sacrifice the citizens and their safety, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I have a point. Councilman Lee made a great point related to how do you measure success? Well, how do you measure failure too? Failure is not saying that we've increased the number of foot traffic in the town of Smithfield at the cost of how many young people's lives. So we have to monitor that too. So the question is, how many underage drinkers do we have today that are caught, that are violating our laws in the town of Smithfield? Does that number go up when we change this number? I'm just saying there are statistics that we need to have in place. What is the baseline, and then what are the things that's going to affect? You can always increase things. I have found that the world we live in can always increase sales by doing things that are part of vice. It is. You know, if we wanted to, if we what do you do? A lot of towns, a lot of states have legalized marijuana and increased their sales base and their tax base. It's not the right thing to do, but that's what they've done. So I'm saying we have to be careful, again, at the cost involved in that. And so I would say that if we agree to do this, we clearly have to identify some metrics related to the social impact that it has on our society negatively, and so that we can say, here's where we are, and if we see that trend going the wrong way, the point is, we do have the opportunity to change the ordinance, is what they said. So we could start it, and if we see the negative impact, we could take it away.
Correct.
So we would definitely need to have somebody in the town to decides what are these statistics that we can measure, because some things we can't measure. But there are some things we can measure. What are them that we can measure? And then we need to be measuring those to see if we start developing a negative trend that's going to impact the lives of individuals. That's a factor for us. Increased sales traffic, obviously we all want to do it. Y'all know me, we in favor of doing that, things we need to do to make that happen. But I'm just concerned sometimes that if we aren't careful, we can do things with the right motive, but do the wrong things with the right motives. So, but I think it's very important to measure. How are you going to measure success? And document it and track it. And how are you going to measure failure? And document and track it. And then you know how you're doing. It just, again, we can't be all, if we want to say, we can always, I'm going to say there's statistics. There's this old statement, you have lies, damn lies, and statistics. You know what I mean? Because if you really want to prove something, if you're not careful, you don't do it. If you do it biased, you can always come up with an answer that's going to support your view. So I'm just saying we have to make sure we include the negatives along with the positives.
I have just a couple quick questions now that we're trying to get through this. Obviously, the restaurants, this will be a big boost for them. Have you talked to the other retail people downtown to get their feedback, and how many, as a percentage, were welcome to the idea, and how many thought it wouldn't be beneficial to them?
I spoke to all the ones on Market, and I didn't come across one negative.
Okay. And then the other question was, there was talk about, we want to start out with this footprint and then develop into a larger, how big a deal is that for the town to either, depending on how things go, to revise the hours or the days or the footprint? We have to re-notify the state that it's changing every time we make a change to this?
You would need to notify the state that the boundaries had changed, but there aren't currently any plans to expand the district after a certain period of time. So if we saw that it was successful and it made sense to expand it to incorporate some new businesses that maybe are just outside of the district, I think that's something that we would perhaps pursue. But at this point, you sort of have some pretty natural boundaries to the district on Market Street. Really, once you get past 4th Street, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to include that section of the social district right now. Hopefully, in the future, we see that become more retail, restaurant, really pedestrian-friendly businesses. And then that's something that we would do. But really, you're looking at the redevelopment of some pretty significant properties down the road. So there aren't really any plans to expand the district currently.
Okay.
Beyond the boundaries that have been presented.
The last thing I'm going to bring up is on the North 3rd Street side, the whole district is kind of divided by commercial. There's a barrier in there, so to speak, for pretty much most of the district. But on 3rd Street, that's, half a block, 2 lots down from where residential starts, on that little piece that juts out. Is there a particular reason that that's the one piece that juts out on that street?
Really just because of the concentration of more of retail businesses within that street. So you do have the potential for there to be as many as 8 retail businesses within that block. Currently, there are 4 within that block. So that was the reason for including them. And then it's a piece of the downtown core. And you do still have post office, you have a bail bonds agency, and then the Johnston County Building and Industry Association providing sort of a buffer between the commercial businesses and the social district and the residences there as well.
Okay, so, again, this is just kind of for clarification, so trying to think, in the parking lot behind where Johnson County Public Utilities is, obviously, they're not gonna be selling beer or wine, and that's a very good thing, but is that, some of that property goes up into the parking lot just a little bit, but the entire parking lot is a no-go zone, correct? It's,
I think there are probably some limitations with regard to the maps, and where glass is drawn and that
Okay.
can be drawn and that sort of thing.
Okay, well,
But
just-
yeah, the intention is not necessarily to include parking lots in that location.
because you mentioned at all exit doors, if the back was, they would have to be notified, they'd have to dispose
If
of
they're
it.
leaving the social district at the back door, so at the back door of, I mean, it's really hard because so few of our businesses have back doors that are actually used. But yeah, at the back door of Reese and Reese Law Firm, if they allowed alcohol within their business, which I don't know that they would, but if they allowed alcohol within their business, they would need to have a sign in the back that says no alcohol beyond this point, essentially.
Sarah, let me ask you a question. When you're coming down Market, I see you're going by the library business on the left across the street. I think there's a We Ship It antique shop, and I think there may be one other store there. I'm not familiar with the name. Why are you, what is it?
I think that last one is vacant before the parking lot. I
Okay,
think.
there was something there before. Why would you include that currently going right there by the library? Why wouldn't you just keep it straight down opposed to going through that area? How hard is it to change it if an opportunity arises? Say somebody does have a business there, how hard is it for us to change that?
So I'm not sure that I 100% understand. So are you talking about, so currently on the corner of 3rd and Market Street, you have a Heritage Center, you have
Right, then
the
you have
Ladies Building.
then you have the
and
You
then-
Ship It or We Ship It, I can't remember exactly. Then there's, John said, I think there's a vacant.
There's two other storefronts.
Yeah, and then
besides
there's the
We Ship It.
antique shop, right, or some type of,
Assortment shop.
yeah.
On the corner is Big Boy Gaming, which is a retail store. That's the reason for the district going that far at this point. And there's an Herbalife business beside it.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some businesses within that general vicinity. But if there's concern about the library, the
If
library
it's
parking
across the
lot.
street, it ain't gonna matter, it's the library anyway, so, and you're still exposing,
If there's concern about, including certain areas, we could definitely tighten up some of the lines on the map, where it makes sense. To eliminate parking lots, or that sort of thing.
So will there be a action needed, approve or deny request? Would it be a motion to approve the district or a motion to approve y'all to figure it out more? Or is this
it?
You can do whatever if you would like for them to take it back and bring something else, you can certainly request that, right? Or you can approve tonight as is, or you can approve tonight with changes, right? Hours and everything else, but you could also delay it. And
I'm gonna try to be slow before it says anything.
Phone's throwing pins at me over there.
I know Councilman Wood had indicated maybe a revision in the hours. And I understand why 10 o'clock was set. We've already had that conversation about Sunday morning. And to try to keep it easy and consistent. most of the events where people will be walking about doing things, I'm assuming would fall between Wednesday and Sunday night. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
I would think.
I mean, if we can change this at any time just by resubmitting a letter to the state, I think maybe we ought to give it kind of a trial run first, and maybe with some limited hours, limited hours, days, everything goes well.
That's what I was,
Expand it.
yeah, that's what I was saying, condense it a little bit, small sample size first, but you've got the whole thing right now. You got the big gumbo.
Well, ideally, we would like to get some more people down here so we can fill it up. There's no offense to Troy and our business owners, but they will agree that a rising tide raises all ships. There needs to be more, and this is a step to help us get people down there more. Nothing's going to change.
Councilman Doug, to your point, I think my request would just be from a practical standpoint. I don't think changing the hours would be very troublesome, but making the days consistent, particularly when you're looking at signage and buying signage, to avoid that duplicate expense if, 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road it's gonna change. That's something I would love to see it go ahead and be consistent from day one. But hopefully, we'll make it work. That's the only concern I have about limiting the hours with the idea that maybe down the road.
12 to 10 does make sense.
Excuse me?
12 to 10 is not a hard ask. That's pretty.
Are we about done with the questions on this?
I'm finished.
You gonna make a motion?
Any other thoughts or comments?
Let's ask them all.
Okay. All right.
Did we change the time or not? Was that?
I think what I just heard them say is the change in time from 12 to 10 is not a huge issue to them.
The 12 to 10
Would
is
be,
fine.
would be agreeable.
Fine.
That wouldn't put any inconvenience to the businesses at all downtown.
I think, more hours is great, but if it's
2
12
hours,
to
come
10
on.
that makes it work, then 12 to 10 is good. So I don't think that's any issue.
If this doesn't work, how hard is it to abolish this district?
I mean, essentially, I think council could next
to
month.
abolish the ordinance.
Just abolish the ordinance.
Said another ordinance. That's what I said.
Okay, I just,
Yeah.
make sure we can get out of it.
Yeah. I think we could pretty easly do that, I would think. Yeah.
Certainly won't be next.
A whole lot easier than creating it, I believe.
Now,
So,
I don't know. Once the business started, I think it'd be difficult.
I'm not. There's just a lot of concerns that there's all.
Right.
Genie back in the bottle.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
hold on one second. Gotcha. All right, so the manager's just pointing out that tonight, we would need to have, in order for the ordinance to pass tonight, we would need to have two-thirds, which would mean that we would need 5 to vote in the affirmative. So I did want to point that out. If there's, you could always delay it if you need to or whatever.
You need 5 tonight.
If you choose to table the ordinance.
But if I make a motion and it fails, then is this a done deal?
No, it can still come back.
No, we can bring it back up.
Bring it back, man.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the social district from the hours of 12 to 10.
Okay. Got approval of the social district from the hours of 12 to 10. All right. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
No.
No, you got 2 opposed.
All right, so 2 opposed and 1,
4.
2, 3, 4.
So you don't have it?
So 4 to 2.
Fails.
Fails.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, all the questions we had brought forward to you, we just need to make sure those are addressed those are in your packet when you come back. And I know you're coming back, because I know you will. I mean, it's obvious, it's not like it's a done deal. I mean, if all council members are here and then it fails, there's no point in you coming back at all, because it's not gonna pass either way. But I would recommend making those changes, 12 to 10. Make sure you be very, very specific with police force during special events and so forth. So.
Well, and so I have a question, and this might be for the manager. We can only speak to our special events and not other special events for other organizations. So would that be incorporating things into the existing ordinance to satisfy some of those concerns?
That's something we can talk about later. We don't need to resolve that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. Great presentation. Great questions and comments there. But it can come. The next reading, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. So just for clarification, so if it comes back, it doesn't have to have a 2/3 at the next reading, right?
No, it'd just be a majority vote of the
Majority
council
vote
then,
at that
because it'd be
point.
a second
Gotcha.
time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We will move on now to discussion concerning trash services for the downtown area. Mike, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A little more discussion about the downtown. Appreciate your patience. On page 123 and 124 of your agenda packet, you have information on downtown sanitation area. A little bit of history here. Several years ago, would have been before my time, so I'm not sure exactly the timeline, and we can find no real record of it in any of the council meeting minutes, but I believe it was when the streetscape project was completed and the power lines were buried downtown. There was at least discussion at that time about what these downtown businesses were going to do with their trash. Some of them feel that they were given license to bring their trash out onto the sidewalk and leave it in the trash receptacles that are what I'll call pedestrian receptacles. And that's been done that way for some of these businesses for over 15 years. It has gotten out of control at this point. We received quite a few complaints about it. We've received complaints from downtown businesses on it, where people are bringing too much trash out of their businesses and lying in the street with it, leaving it on the sidewalk next to the trash cans, and our guys pick it up when they pick up the normal, empty the pedestrian cans. We've been asked to try to come up with some type of a solution to this. And basically, there's only really two good solutions for it, because everybody's going to have trash. So either the town can enter into considering that we will, treat them like any other sanitation customer. They'll come in, sign up, get a can, take it out to the street on designated day. We'll empty it, and they take it back behind their business and leave it there till the next week. Or you force them to handle their trash in a separate way. They hire an outside company to do the same thing. They take it to the landfill themselves. Those kind of options. I am concerned that those kind of options won't be adhered to, and we'll still be dealing with this. If the council says we're not going to pick it up anymore and we're going to deem it littering if you leave it on the sidewalk, then we can enforce that. It's not hard to go through a trash bag and find invoices and copies of bills and things from these businesses to know who put it there. It's really not the issue. The issue is, what do we want to do to try to keep our downtown area cleaner and also provide some service to the downtown. Now, currently, we do not pick up sanitation from businesses. We do from churches, but not from businesses. And we do from, obviously, civilians. So some of the caveats that would go with that, if you want us to start picking this up and allow them to become customers, is we would not pick up yard debris. We would not pick up construction debris. So we wouldn't be charging them for yard debris. They'd just be charged the normal rate of sanitation per can. We would not do backyard pickup. They'd have to bring their can out to the sidewalk probably the evening before trash pickup day, and they'd have to remove it that morning so it's not sitting there all day long. We wouldn't want it there all weekend either. So trash pickups would likely be on Tuesday or Friday. Lawrence hasn't figured out the best day yet, but it would be likely one of those 2 days based on their current schedule. We wouldn't pick up anything hazardous. We wouldn't pick up grease, things of that nature. Plastic, they're not going to be able to bring their plastic out because businesses are likely to have a ton of this stuff. And they're going to have to continue to dispose of that themselves. So I guess that's the question I have. We think we can manage them becoming our sanitation customers downtown. This would just be on Market Street between 2nd and I guess 4th Street, and then 3rd Street and the 100 block south is the areas that we are seeing problems. We'd probably remove some of the pedestrian cans out of the middle of the blocks, make it less likely for people to leave stuff, put them on the corners. We may, and if it continues, we may even put new cans down there that we can secure so that they can't be lifting the lids off and leave them laying on the ground and fill them up with bags, large trash bags. But we would obviously send letters out to everybody that we're doing this and asking them to come in and sign up, and that we're going to treat it as littering if they choose to leave stuff on the sidewalks continually. So I don't think they'll get a better deal than what the town of Smithfield can provide them for sanitation service for 1 can or 2 cans or however many they need, charged at the same rate as you or I or anybody else would pay. So I imagine they'll take advantage of it.
Behind the businesses on Second Street in particular, I know several of those businesses have cans or dumpsters out back.
Yeah, and that wouldn't change any. They can still have
I
them.
mean, they would still use their own dumpsters. Is
Yeah,
there
they'd
any
have,
way to
this
know
would
how-
just be an option.
Is there any way to know whose dumpsters those are?
Well, I mean, we can go
I mean,
ask
I guess
around.
My point is if you find that it's only 2 businesses that are really offending the situation, perhaps they need to be pursued and told that it's not allowed.
Well, and we would need the council to say it's no longer allowed because they think they've been grandfathered in and then they think they have a right to do that. We need to take a stand on it one way or another.
I'm quite sure a roll-off can every week is cheaper than a dumpster anyway.
Oh, yeah,
Probably
that's
all know
sure.
that.
Yeah.
If the quantity's not there.
Just want that to be enough, though.
Would there be any issue?
1 day a week, right?
For ones that do opt, if we, that would opt into the rollaway cans as far as storage, like unsightly storage area?
Lawrence and I have been through all the back of the buildings and around, and we think that they do have
Adequate.
places that they could put them behind their businesses. It may be a walk, it may be a little bit of a walk for them to get them out, and get them back, but we think they got room there.
And Mike, did you say 1 day a week pickup?
Yeah, that's what we're recommending, just like everybody else. So if they're a business that can get everything in 1 can, they can do it. If they need 2 cans, that's okay. We'll charge them for 2 cans and they can bring them both out, however many they need. But I think based on what we're seeing, most of these businesses that are leaving things still on the sidewalks, 1 can, at the most 2 cans would be sufficient.
The only, I mean, obviously, there's a problem if it's not fitting in the cans and people are abusing it currently. One slight issue is if I live my business is one block over, and then it almost seems like some commercial businesses you're providing this service for at a certain rate, and yet I can't get that rate.
That's very true. We are only trying to deal with the businesses that feel that they were awarded some type of benefit from a previous council that they could do this. If you weren't one of those businesses, then we're not looking to add you, and you've already got your trash figured out. But yeah, that's true, and you may hear some of that argument. But we're not really trying to get into the commercial trash business. We're just trying to solve a problem in the downtown area as best we can. Because we're going to pick up the trash one way or another. It's just a matter if it's going to be blowing all over the place or if we're going to have it in a can on some type of organization.
Any questions for Mike or additional questions or thoughts on this? I have been forwarded pictures of the cans downtown, and, you know, it does become pretty unsightly, right? Because some of the businesses are stacking up, you know, cardboard boxes and so forth, and it's not only on top of the canisters, but it's down beside, and then it goes all down the sidewalk. And from what I've seen, it'd be a little different if it was first thing in the morning or the late afternoon, because I think typically we're emptying those cans every day, right? Basically, I think, or aren't the
Regularly.
Regularly, yeah. I don't know about every. Okay, so you know, but the issue is all this debris and cardboard, whatever it may be, sits there until we can pick it up, and then it blows all downtown and so forth. So that's been some of the complaints that I personally have received. I'm sure there's been many more, but and these are complaints from business owners downtown that I've received. So actually, downtown business owners are complaining about it. So, Sarah, would you agree with that?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the request.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the ability for downtown businesses to utilize our trash services. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. All right. We'll move on now to our next item, which is consideration and request for approval to adopt ordinance number 517-2023, repealing and enacting speed limits in Smithfield on NCDOT highways. Stephen?
Yes, if you recall, last month, the council asked me to go ask DOT about the speed limit on Market Street, so that we didn't have a 35 speed limit on 210, transitioning to a 45 on Market Street, then back to 25 as it hits town. So we had that request. We asked the DOT, and surprisingly, they got back to me within a week, and they approved it. They said it'd be no problem. So in this exhibit shown here, the yellow represents the current 35-mile-an-hour speed limit on NC 210. That would be extended further west. Is that west? I guess it's west on NC 210, just past the Marin Woods development. That's the open field on the right-hand side there is Marin Woods. So that's where that would then transition back to the higher speed limit. On Market Street, you see right where the cemetery is, that is approximately where that speed limit sign would drop to 35, and it would stay 35 to the Neuse River Bridge, and then it would be 25 miles an hour in downtown. The only thing funny about the ordinance change, I don't know if you'll pick up on it in your packet, by repealing, let me see if I get this right. By repealing the the ordinance on NC 210 is not a big deal, but the default ordinance in town is 35, so they're going to repeal the current Market Street ordinance and then establish a new ordinance from basically the town limits to where it changes to 35 and make that a 45, meaning the remainder will be 35. It just defaults. The ordinance does not address the area in blue on Market Street because that defaults to 35, the current speed limit in the town of Smithfield. So they're repealing the current ordinance and reestablishing it further west, leaving the 35 in the area in blue. Any questions?
But basically to be 35 from the Neuse River Bridge.
Yeah.
All the way to Marion Woods,
Yes.
the whole stretch,
Yes.
entire stretch. Because right now it's 45 at Marion Woods, and it drops to 35 right before you get to the cemetery, right in
That's
that
right.
area, and then picks back up to 45, kind of as you merge and onto the.
And vehicles are
and then
barreling through
immediately
town.
drops to 25, or
Right.
right as soon as you come across the bridge, almost immediately.
It takes them 2 blocks to slow down if
That's
they
right.
do.
Yeah.
Well, where would the reduced speed sign be on Market Street after you come off where the food line and all's at? Where would that be? I see where the signs are. I assume the reduced speed limit sign would be back, halfway between there and the stoplight. Is that right?
That's what I've got it shown. The blue, it's basically
I see,
kind
though,
of,
that's where the begins. I'm
Yeah.
saying, where would the sign be, say, reduced speed? I mean,
oh,
so-
I really don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, that makes a difference. So when come off that light, people come off the light, because
DOT.
45 down
yeah.
Wilson Mills Road, right?
DOT have the rules, so they'll have their
Something we need to
spacing
think about down the
guidelines.
road too, by the way, but
Yeah.
just let you know. Once we get sidewalks in there, we can keep the 45, but until then, we need to go 35 to save lives.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right, any other questions, comments for Stephen on this matter? Thoughts?
So what do we need to do on this? Make a
Russ, they
motion
got
to
back
accept?
to you in a week.
Yes, I mean, if that's what you desire.
I make a motion, we approve the speed limit change and ordinances as attached.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
When does this take effect?
Well,
Mark?
officially, as soon as the ordinance is signed, how quickly they get it posted, I don't know. We'll send them the ordinance, and they'll probably get it posted
Maybe
in a couple days, I would guess.
Is there any type of notification of a speed limit change?
I imagine they'll
People
put
might be
some-
riding along, not paying attention, all of
I
a sudden,
imagine
whoa, my gosh.
typically they'll put up some red demarcation on the signs to let people know.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Speed trap.
We just got one.
I don't want a speed trap.
All right, now we'll move on now to business item number 4 that we removed from the consent agenda. Consideration and request for approval to restructure the police department and to add a deputy chief and eliminate the vacant captain position. Councilman Lee, I think you had some questions on that, and the chief is coming forward.
Yeah, welcome, Chief.
Afternoon, thank you very much.
I don't think, I'll just ask, have we ever had this position before?
Not that I'm aware of.
So just kind of going in, just the basis of the position and everything, and do you already have anybody in mind? Welcome officially for one. Just kind of, really why I wanted to get you up here and just kind of see the scope of it, and that's about it. That's all.
No, I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed my short time here. I'm encouraged by what I find at the police department, but we do still have a Herculean task in front of us. We are down a significant manpower, but the bones of the police department is really good. We have really good men and women that have remained with us. But we have to be faster and quicker. And my main job that I'm going to concentrate is being able to hire quality people fast. Being able to have a deputy chief that I can count on and rely on, and a person with that kind of experience enables me to concentrate on one real task at first and make sure that we can hire quality people that we can get here and then will stay with us. So I think that streamlined ability to be able to say, hey, look, if I'm out of town to another police academy, or I'm going out to recruit people, to be able to know that I have a person there that we can do this job makes it a little bit more efficient. It's a pretty standard form in law enforcement to have a deputy chief, and also we have one currently at the fire department, so it's nothing that's not been done before.
That's it, that's all. I appreciate you.
Easy.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Ryan?
It's a good idea.
So you are planning on actively starting recruitment, maybe in other towns? I mean, you may have already started doing that.
We already have. So we've increased our people already at our current academy from 1 to 3, and we're going to go out and check the other academies now. We're going to really get out there. I think we have a good town. We have a great police department. And again, we have good bones. We just need to make sure that we get out there and let people know this is a great place to work.
How many vacancies you have now? I know you said a significant, so.
13.
13.
Good luck with that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, you do have our support, right? So,
One other question. What is the action? Is there any difference in the two positions, or is it pretty much the same? I mean, for captain or?
The deputy chief would fall directly under me, and the captain would fall underneath him.
A captain would what?
Underneath the
Oh, so
deputy
it's
chief.
report to the deputy chief.
virtually the same thing?
Yes, sir.
In a relatively speaking terms?
Yes, sir.
Right,
So
okay.
he's in charge in your absence?
Yes, sir. The deputy.
Right, okay. Yes, sir. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
I would comment that leadership structure is important. I think we've seen that too. We need to have leadership structure in place. And so that also provides opportunities in case something was to happen down the road and you decide you want to retire or whatever, and we still have a backup. And I think it's important. You get sick, COVID's on the rebound. I don't know, but I'm just saying, I think it's important to have the leadership in position is very important. Structure is important.
all right. Well, I will need a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the request as stated.
Second.
A motion and a request to allow for the creation and the posting of a deputy police chief. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we will now move to council members' comments. Anyone wishing to speak during this time? Please.
I have one real quick one. We are in the process of planning our 3rd annual drone fly-in. I know my buddy here loves it.
You can't wait.
We haven't, Gary and I haven't quite set the date, whether it's going to be October the 7th, the day that Councilman Wood would like for us to do it, because he's going to be home. But we might do it on the 28th. Depends on if I can get everything together in that time period. But we had good crowds the last 2 years. We did have the Drone Racing League come in, so I'm going to have to find out from them exactly when they can come. If you've never seen them drone racing, it's very fascinating. We had the students from local high school come and do a competition with our NIST standards that we have out there that's permanently mounted. We had, and we were, interesting enough, we found professional pilots that go out there and practice on that field on a regular basis. So it's a good thing to do. So we anticipate having a good crowd. That'll be that Saturday, either October the 7th or the 28th. You might have the 7th and rain day, the 28th. Is that okay, Roger? Let's see what we can do. But I would encourage you
I'm
to.
selling tickets in my backyard, so if you want to come sit there just all day long, you can.
But yeah, you can see it from his yard, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can, and you can flat hear it from in my backyard.
But we're looking forward to it, so we'd encourage all of you to start spreading the news, and we'll get some. We're working with Gary to get some stuff out there to people.
I do kid about it a lot. I kid Dr. Barber a lot about it, but it does usually draw a pretty good crowd, and it is used quite a bit, so that's not my thing, but it's a lot of people's thing. And It is used a lot, and it's pretty cool to see them, it's annoying, the noise, but it's pretty cool to see them race around the course.
Let me just say, though, as the high school guy in charge of drone programs, piloting programs in the state, we have about 100 programs now in the state teaching it. We're having people that are teaching other subjects that have been taken out of those subjects to teach drones because the demand for it has grown so rapidly. We have companies like Duke Energy and a Zipline and Yvonne Health and the Kazi Aviation. We've got a lot of companies that are in our state. UPS is also looking. They look at hiring our people, and so we're developing these people for real jobs, and it's exciting. And so having opportunity in our town where young kids can take their drones and learn the craft of flying their drones, it can become a real career that they can make money at, not just fun, but have money and enjoy themselves. So just to let you know, we're excited about being a partner with our community involved in that.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I just got a couple. First of all, I'm glad that the town manager and the planning department was able to work with Triple S High School and their upcoming homecoming. The new principal kind of wanted to get the community involved. So this year there's going to be doing a parade or whatever. And I just hope, some of the council members, especially, some of the Triple S grads or whatever, that can possibly partake in the event, participate. And, she's just trying to draw up some excitement at the school, and it's coming to another tough situation. But I just hope, some of the organizations, I know the different classes are going to be having class reunions. I just hope, everybody can be able to come out and participate in that. Actually, when I talked to them last week, I thought it was going to be kind of too late for them to even to try to do it. So I'm glad they was able, to get on the consent agenda tonight. And now, hopefully, we can just get it publicized and, just continue to bring excitement to Smith-Selma High School. Then second of all, I know over the last few months, I've been kind of informally wanting updates on the CBDG grant housing situations. Last week, the day of, I guess when the hurricane was going to come in, weather, whatever, I was able to speak with one of the residents who, her home was for about 2 years inconvenienced. I did kind of get some disturbing report coming from her. I probably stood out in the rain about an hour talking to her. But Mr. Mayor, for next month, I would like for Skip Green to come in and give us a report. Because from what I heard over at her residence, things definitely didn't go well. I was informed that the state had to come in, and some of our town staff kind of treated her in an unprofessional way. And if it probably weren't for her kids advocating for her, she would have been, her house would have been in a mess. And for this whole project to have taken place, this wasn't a positive experience. So I would love for Mr. Skip Green to come in next month and give a report. And she herself may be here also. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Just a couple quick things. I'd like to welcome the police chief. We hadn't actually met yet, but looking forward to it, and I'm sure great things will be ahead. Two other items. One, I know that Buffalo Road, beside the soccer park and behind the town operations, is a DOT road, and they are supposed to maintain that, the grass, whatnot. Is there any way that we could look to see what our cost would be to maintain that? Because that is a very unsightly area.
I'm not exactly sure of the area you're discussing.
Buffalo Road?
Yeah.
Close to the soccer field.
Right.
Behind the operations center. Behind the trees, right next to not 301,
Where
Buffalo Road.
the tall trees are.
On the back side. I'm sure the other side is cut by the town.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
think that's DOT roadway.
Lawrence and I can get with them tomorrow or this week anyway and find out what that would take.
And while you're doing that, could you ask them to maybe cut the debris off of the actual bridge there? Right there as you're, you know, you're going down, it kind of growing up, and growing over.
Okay.
It would be nice if they could do something there.
And last thing, this is just kind of a odd thing I look at sometimes. The wayfinding signs look really good. When you come to the back side of one, it just looks odd seeing a big black blob sitting there. Is there anything we could do with that to, it's not a big deal, it's just every time I see it, I think that's a waste of space on the back side of the pedestal sign.
We still have a committee that was involved in that whole wayfinding project, so we can see what we can come up with there.
I mean, I don't want more maintenance on them either, but I mean,
Yeah.
if it's something that could either give more information about the town or something.
Backside of it. So you use the backside of it, like you said.
That's it?
Anyone else? All right. Mr. Manager, I'll turn it over to you, sir, for your report.
All right, I don't have a whole lot, Mr. Mayor. I want to point out that normally the splash pad in East Smithfield closes on Labor Day. Due to the heat, we're leaving that open at least another week for people to use, so that will be open, and it is currently open, normal business hours.
And thanks for the extra shade. I saw some extra shade
Yeah.
pads that were put out there, so appreciate that.
Yeah. We have the extra shade structure out there as well, and we've also added the lights that were in the budget to the dog park in South Smithfield. Still have a shade structure and some other work to do over there yet. That'll be coming yet this fall. And mentioning Triple S High School earlier, they are also having their 911 ceremony on the 11th of September. I don't have the exact time for that. Jeremy, did you get a time? Not yet. It's usually at 7:30 in the morning. So if any of you can attend that, as soon as I get the time, I'll email everybody that information. We just learned that they are going to have that earlier today. So put that on your calendar if you're available at that time. A really nice event. Also in your packet, you have a printout from Parks and Rec, which has the schedule of ongoing events that occur usually starting in October through the end of the year. So you can kind of plan ahead of time, the tree lighting, the Christmas parade, the Grinch run, trunk or treat, Boo Bash, all those things that normally take place throughout the remainder of the year. Gets kind of busy. Any of those events that you want to attend, you have a schedule there in your packet. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Do the UV lights seem to be assisting and taking care of the issues? All right. Good to hear. All right. Gentlemen, that is it. We do need to go into a closed session. I would recommend that maybe we take about a 5-minute, and we'll go into closed session, but I will need a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Second.
Motion and a second to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?